Hey guys, Henning and Morten from FlippedNormals here. In this video, we are going to be taking you through some of our favorite exclusive FlippedNormals products. These are products you can only get on the FlippedNormals marketplace. These include really high quality tutorials like Introduction to Maya, Intro to Painter, and also resources which will help you really level up your work, such as the FlippedNormals Skin Kit and a bunch more.
These are products we've handcrafted over the past 5 or 6 years, so we're excited to really show them off.
Before we get into the products and tutorials, we want to remind you all that all products in this video and on the FlippedNormals marketplace are currently 40% off during the summer sale. The first product we will check out is the FlippedNormals Skin Kit. This is one of the most fun products we have made, and it's really useful if you're doing particularly character art and creature art. It's really made to solve the pain of how do you do high frequency details. This is such an annoying issue to solve, particularly if you're in ZBrush, where you want to have proper alphas which have been hand sculpted to really give you the fine frequency you need. It's really hard to find good alphas when it comes to this. A lot of them are like 15 years old and they just don't work very well. So we made our own ones which work phenomenally well for particularly these kind of characters.
Next up, we have modeling and texturing props for game with senior games artist Hannah Watts, who was working for Ubisoft at the time. And this series here is a 5-hour series focusing on creating this prop from start to finish. Hannah is very into vintage props, and that really shines through when we were sort of talking about the brief for this. And she really poured a lot of love into it, went to recycle stores to take pictures, find the correct references to really make sure that she sourced from the real world. And that's one of the things that I think she gets across really well in this tutorial. It's more focused on intermediate and advanced artists, and it'll take you through everything from the block out, doing the high poly, the baking, the UV mapping and texturing, and it's all done in Max, Marmoset, Photoshop, and then finally Painter for the texturing.
I think my favorite part of this tutorial is the texturing. It's so well done and so realistic, and I learned a lot from this as a fairly advanced artist, and that's who it's for. Then we have the FlippedNormals Creature Kit. This one is created to solve kind of the same pain as the Skin Kit, where the Skin Kit solves high frequency details. This is going to solve design issues. Imagine you have to create 30 different creature designs and you have no time at all. With the Creature Kit, you can very quickly block it out from the pre-made base meshes. You can drag out the horns, the eyes, ears, teeth, and just in a few minutes you can have completely different versions of it. Everything you're seeing now is made entirely with the Creature Kit, and it's really saved our butts. This is something we really needed when we worked on Pacific Rim 2, because we were designing all sorts of stuff and we just needed basically like a kaiju kit.
It includes 170 handcrafted VDM brushes, which means that it's really easy to just drag and drop everything that you want. With the VDM brushes, you get this super nice overhang, which isn't really possible with traditional alphas. And it has everything from eyes, horns, noses, mouths, teeth, and even fur. You can really go to town when you try to flesh out your concepts. Next up, we have the Introduction to Blender 2.8. This was a really fun series for us to do, where we take you through from the very first time you open Blender to creating this super cool looking lightsaber. And we take you through everything where first it's a lot of theory based, where we go through, okay, this is how you use Blender, here's the interface, here's how to work with everything. And then the second part, we take you through a more practical example where we actually create this lightsaber. And it's everything you need to know in order to get started.
Then we have the complete ZBrush sculpting bundle. This is kind of like a master bundle of all our ZBrush products, some of which are included in this video as well. It contains introduction to sculpting, which we'll talk about in a bit, sculpting a realistic male and female face, how to sculpt the facial features, concept sculpting for film and games, and it just contains a lot of things that you would really need in order to get started with sculpting. With this bundle, you have really everything you need in order to become a very proficient sculptor, and you can keep rewatching these tutorials for years to come. From the very basic tutorials like how to use ZBrush to way more advanced tutorials talking about advanced features.
Next up we have how to retopologize a full character. So this is our series where we talk about our techniques and our approaches to retopology. Retopology can be one of those super daunting tasks, especially when you get started. It can be really tricky to figure out where to place your loops, the density that you should really be working at. And one of the most common beginner mistakes that we see is people going way too detailed, way too quickly. And so that's something we really focus on in this series, trying to really keep it simple, start with blockouts, and really make your life easier when you're doing retopology. It works for every software because it's mostly theory-based, and we'll also show you how to do efficient UV layouts, and generally just taking you through how to use professional techniques that are used in the industry.
Then we have Introduction to Maya, which is perfect for people who are new to 3D and new to Maya. This is a series which is over 12 hours long, all in real time. It covers the most basic tools like modeling, UVs, retopology, how to animate using hair and XGen, pipeline features, how to light, using Arnold and rendering. It's comprised of two parts. We have the first part, which covers the basics of Maya, and then we have the second part, which focuses on making the Spartan helmet. Well, we'll take you through start to finish, from the modeling, UV mapping, advanced shading in Arnold, to finally lighting in Arnold as well, using XGen for like the groom on the head.
Getting started with Maya can be a super daunting task because you can do so many things in it. So we've tried to structure it in a way that makes it more digestible and doesn't necessarily focus on every single button in Maya, but more so how to get up and running fairly quickly. Next up, we've got our Concepting with Marvelous Designer and ZBrush course. Now this is a hybrid course where we both focus on Marvelous Designer and ZBrush. It can be tricky to sometimes work with these two software, especially when it comes to scale, import, export. So that's one of the big focuses on this, how to efficiently work between the two. There is a small, quick introduction to Marvelous, not a full introduction, but enough to get you up and running. And Marvelous is really a simple software, so you don't need to know that much. We talk about importing custom avatars. For example, if you made your own base meshes and you want to work with those instead of the built-in ones, how to work with references, and how to make an awesome costume with a lot of detail in Marvelous Designer, and finally how to detail it and make it look even better inside of ZBrush.
This is one of my favorite new series, which we got from Chunk Trafficander. This is an awesome series focusing on using trim sheets. We are using Substance Designer and Blender in this series to really learn how to do them, but you can really follow along in any software, particularly when you can replace the 3D software with Max or Maya, as long as you understand the basics. Trim sheets is one of these topics which a lot of game studios, or all the game studios, will really be using, but it's not really something that it's taught properly in schools or online. So this is a really interesting tutorial which will definitely level up your game art and will just make you way more ready for game productions, and will really optimize the way you're texturing, and you can squeeze so much more out of a few textures and make stunning environments with trim sheets.
And lastly, we have our Introduction to ZBrush. This is a course that's received a few updates throughout the years, and now this one is a completely fresh one for 2020. The Introduction to ZBrush basically takes you through everything you need to know in order to get started. It's perfect for beginners to ZBrush, people who may have opened it once or twice and are super confused by the interface. It's something that we tackle from the very beginning in order to try and make you comfortable with the software. It covers all the features you need to use in order to get started with sculpting. And we also show you how to sculpt this super cool cave troll at the end of it. We really believe that it's important to do a mix of theory as well as practical things, because if you just focus too much on the theory and where every button is, you won't necessarily know how to apply that when it actually comes to your sculpting.
Yeah, one of the main problems with learning ZBrush is just that it is intimidating as hell. ZBrush is a big, scary software, and there are so many buttons and the interface is weird. So one of the main things we do focus on is making it not scary. If you know how to use a handful of features in ZBrush, you can really operate it on a day-to-day basis. You can get started with sculpting really within like a few hours. So while we do focus on a lot of the really advanced features as well, we also make a clear point to illustrate what you'll be using on a daily basis and what's for more advanced situation, maybe more bespoke situations where we have to make something very custom.
So that about covers everything we wanted to show you from the exclusives that we have available on FlippedNormals. Now, these don't cover everything we have available. These are just our top picks. So if there's anything you like that you saw here, or maybe you want to explore some more, be sure to head over to the FlippedNormals marketplace, where currently we're having a 40% sale on every product. So if you're interested in learning, leveling up your skills, be sure to head over there.